All right, now I know this slide can get confusing, right? Like you just bumped your head and got stuff swirling around your head, right? But don't worry, let's read through this slide together, okay? It says, a singular subject needs a singular verb. Let's just stop right there, all right? Do not get caught up with the terms, okay? We all know that a singular subject, okay, hopefully you can see this, a singular subject is when we're talking about how many subjects? One. When we're talking about one. So if I have teacher, let's put my teacher. When we're dealing with present tense, we want to make sure that our singular subject matches our verb. Now, don't get confused off it being called a singular subject or a singular verb. Singular subject, yes, no S on the end, right? We're not talking about more than one teacher. We're talking about one teacher. So there's not going to be an S on the end. That would imply that I'm talking about more than one. But I'm only talking about one here. However, a singular subject has to match what's called a singular verb. All right? It has to match a singular verb. Okay? Now, based off of your belief, you might start to think that a singular verb would also not have an S on the end, but actually it's the complete opposite. If what's something that a teacher does, a verb? Teaches, right? Present tense. Teaches. My teacher teaches the class, right? I need to have an S on the end of my singular verb for it to match my singular subject. Okay, singular subject, no S on the end. Singular verb has an S on the end. I'm sorry, my handwriting is so sloppy. Okay, but that's how that goes. You're going to see more examples of these, of what we're going over now on the next two slides. Okay, the next slide will be the singular subject. Let's do one more though. Let's say I have another singular subject like the student. The student. Okay? How many students am I talking about? One. Singular subject. I need it to match a singular verb. My singular verb has an S on the end, or an ES, or an IES. Okay? The student, what's something that a student does? Learn, maybe, right? So let's put the student learn. Is that correct? No, it's not correct. It has to have a what on the end? An S. The student learns. Okay? So that is how the singular subject and singular verb work together. Singular subject, no S on the end. Singular verb does have an S on the end for it to match in our sentences, okay? So you're going to see more examples of that on the next slide. But let's look at a plural subject. Let's continue reading the slide. It says, a plural subject needs a plural verb. Remember, the verb is the action word in the sentence. The subject is who or what is doing the action. Okay? So let's change singular to plural. And I'm going to erase these examples. So, plural subject, plural verb. Now, we obviously know anything that's plural, we're talking about more than one, right? 2, 3, 4, 50, 100, that's plural, okay? If we're talking about more than one. So let's think of a subject of a sentence. Let's stick with teachers, right? Or school. Let's do the athletes. The athletes, my S on the end indicates that I'm talking about more than one, right? Plural subject, more than one athlete. I'm not talking about just one athlete. I'm talking about multiple athletes. Okay, I could just be talking about two athletes. I'm going to have an S on the end, right? It needs to match a plural verb. Plural verbs do not have an S on the end, okay? Plural subject, my subject has an S on the end. Plural verb, my verb will not have an S on the end. So I'm going to have the athletes, present tense, let's say play. The athletes play in the championship today. The athletes play. It cannot be the athletes plays. All right? That doesn't sound good and doesn't make sense. Now, just because something doesn't sound good, okay, doesn't mean that it's not correct. Remember, we have to follow the rules. Our plural subject has to match our plural verb. Okay? So I'm going to take this S off. The athletes play. Now let's try another one. Plural subject. Let's go with teachers. So let's say I have more than one. Let's say my plural subject doesn't have an S on the end, but I'm still showing that I'm talking about more than one. So let's say Mr. Shanklin and, you guys know who I'm going to say, Mr. Castillo. I can't fit the whole thing in there, but even though this does not have an S on the end, I am obviously talking about more than one, right? They're both going to be doing the same verb. So Mr. Shanklin and Mr. Castillo, that's more than one. Mr. Shanklin and Mr. Castillo, let's say, run to class. All right. If I'm talking in present tense, I have to match my plural subject with my plural verb. No S on the end. Mr. Shanklin and Mr. Castillo run to class. Right? Plural subject, plural verb. Okay? I know English is crazy. The terms are crazy. Some of the rules are crazy. But these are the rules. All right? So look at the next two slides. You're going to see kind of the same setup here with singular subject, singular verb, plural subject, plural verb in a little table. And look at those. Make sure you understand them. All right? I'll see you on the next slide.